On the February 2nd meeting, the town board considered resolutions 963 and 964, which were both additional funding for serial bonds. And at that time, Mr. Renadette said that he had read all of the materials, the resolutions, and he waxed eloquent about how all the wherewithals and the whereases and everything were great, and there were no cutting and pasting. And he asked if these were the result of the bond council. And Mr. Bassett, you said yes, to the best of your knowledge, they were. And the board voted in the affirmative unanimously to pass both resolutions. Now, when the town clerk read resolution 964, she read a figure of $2 million, which didn't ring right to me. So I went back and I checked the prior resolutions from October 1st. And in fact, I have the minutes from the February 2nd. In that particular resolution, says, whereas on October 1st, 2007, the town board of the town of Plattsburgh adopted a serial bond resolution authorizing the financing of the cost in the amount of $1 million of improvements to the Moffett Road waterline extension in and for the town of Plattsburgh Consolidated Water District through the issuance of obligation of the town to provide funds for such improvement at a total cost of no more than $2 million. But in fact, the resolution of October 1st, 2007 said at a total cost of no more than $1 million, not $2 million. That would be resolution 07245. So I was wondering if this is a mistake or somewhere along the line it's morphed to $2 million.
No, it's not $2 million. I think you're right.
It's an error.
I'll have to pull those resolutions, but yes.
Okay. And likewise for resolution 0963.
Debbie,
Yes.
I'm just asking for clarification.
Yes.
Is the point here that it was read, the number 2 million?
No,
or
no.
is the point that the resolution said 2 million?
The original resolution said 1 million.
Right.
But here
It
it
said
says
2. Okay, thank
So
you.
I thought she had read it incorrectly, but in fact she read exactly
As
what
was
was
read.
printed. Exactly.
Yep.
And likewise for 0963, which said, whereas, let's see, the town called, on October 1st, authorizing finance of the cost in the amount of $750 of improvements to the Katie'ville-Morrisonville waterline extension in and for the town of Plattsburgh Consolidated Water District through the issuance of obligations of the town to provide funds for such improvement, yada yada, at a cost of no more than $800,000 is what this particular 0963 says. But in fact, the original resolution of October 1st, 2007 said $750,000. So there's a $50,000 there.
Okay. I need to look
You
at
want to see
those.
them?
No, I need to go back and look
Okay.
at what we have.
From October 1st,
The original
2007?
was 750, and then we
Right.
increased that. I can't remember if that one was 25,000 or
We-
50,000.
We increased it 50.
50.
Okay.
For a total of
That was our
800,000.
intent on 2/2. That was our intent.
On 2/2/2009.
9. That was
Correct.
our intent to change it from 750 to 8.
Right.
So
But
if in
this-
the resolution it says the prior amount was 8, it's citing the wrong prior amount.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I just thought maybe you need to amend that. And if both section 1s, which goes into resolved by the town board, town of Plattsburgh, yada yada, section 1, there is hereby authorized to be issued serial bonds and so on and so forth. And on these resolutions that you passed on, it calls them both wastewater collection treatment systems, not water lines. So the punctuation might be good, the grammar might be good, but the facts are wrong. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
What was the number of that last one, Deb?
The number,
Was that 0963?
both of them,
Right.
both of them are called wastewater
Collection.
collection
What's
and
the
treatment
second one?
system.
One is 0963 and the other is?
And the other is 0964.
64. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. What we need to do next, Mr. Badana is here. I would like to have a motion to enter into an executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation.
So Second.
Point of order, do we have to announce the purpose of the pending litigation before we?
Yes, we do.
Concerning negotiation with Saranac Partners.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The second was
Me.
Murray. Putting my motion down here. Okay,
And then push back.
we have a roll call on the motion to enter into executive session.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes, we'll adjourn at 6:44 and return shortly. Second on that,
So moved.
Mr. Mannix. Any discussion? Roll call?
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes. Note that we officially came out at 7:43. Okay, resolution 0981.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claims number 3A in the amount of $1,636,815.95 be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisors hereby authorized to pay said abstract.
On the motion,
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Mr. Brockway, any discussion? Roll call?
Thomas Wood? Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 0982.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Steve Meinhoff, Codes Enforcement Officer, for the month of February 2009.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Brockway, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion? Roll call?
Thomas Wood is absent. Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 0983.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Fred Levine, Highway Superintendent, for the month of January 2009.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Ms. Brockway, any discussion? I'd like to note that Fred indicates that we've used about 800 loads of pre-mixed salt and sand, about half of the supply for the winter. So he's very optimistic we will make it through without any shortfalls.
And the last time that I talked to him, there still was nothing from the county indicating where anybody was at with their salt purchases for next year. Still being encouraged to not sign any agreement, letter of intent. They're still shopping around. So hopefully, what we learned from last year will come into play here.
Hopefully not to repeat history, right? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Which one?
Fred Levine.
83?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes. 0984.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Melanie Defiant, Recreation and Youth Service Director, for the month of January 2009.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Brockway, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette. Any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Vernon Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 0985.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Phil Von Bargen, Planning and Engineering Department Head, for the month of February 2009.
Motion,
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second. Mr. Wood, any discussion? I guess the general comment to be made is that there are still some new businesses expanding, and we're still squeaking out a little bit of growth even during these tough times. Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Browflight?
Yes.
Mark Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 86.
Resolved to receive a report from Amy Duquette, Town Clerk, for the month of January 2009.
A motion?
So moved.
Mr. Woods, second, Ms. Brockwine. Any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Browflight?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 87.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from David Comfort, Director of Water and Wastewater Department, for the month of January 2009.
Motion.
So moved.
Ms. Brockway, second.
Second.
Mr. Rennebeck. Any discussion?
Note that all the employees attended a town safety meeting, so continuing to do that. And I was wondering what the, there was a non-compliance issue. Where he worked with Dave Powell.
I don't know where you're finding that.
Second page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet down.
Oh, okay. Show
And
that.
there's also one on there, Tom, I did notice that there was a homeowner, had to remove his sump line. Again, I just like that, while we're recording this and getting it out, and maybe Dan could help us out, it is illegal to have your sump pump connected to the sanitary line. And again, for obvious reasons, that money is going to the city, it's being paid for. It's basically you're sending groundwater to the city, and it's being paid for on the backs of all the other taxpayers. So I would encourage people, if you have any problem with that, do it like everybody else and sump it out onto your lawn, out towards the street. A lot of places have storm sewers. That doesn't cost us.
Good point.
Good point.
Thank you.
Pick that up.
Anything else? Roll call?
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Browflight?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. 0988.
Whereas a vacancy exists on the Comprehensive Land Use Planning Committee, and whereas Ms. Ellie Berger of Lakeview Drive in the town of Plattsburgh is willing to serve, therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby appoint Ms. Ellie Berger as Comprehensive Land Use Planning Committee member.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Brockway, any discussion?
Just that, and I would like to see us develop, or maybe to work on in the future, doing a little checking on the people that we appoint in terms of background, et cetera.
I've known
Same as we
Ellie
do for employees.
Years. Known Ellie for years, I mean.
It's not this person, I'm speaking in general.
Roll call?
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Browflight?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. 89.
Whereas a vacancy exists on the Comprehensive Land Use Planning Committee, and whereas Ms. Hope White of Smith Drive in the town of Plattsburgh is willing to serve, therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby appoint Ms. Hope Courier as Comprehensive Land Use Planning Committee member.
A motion?
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Ms. Brockway, any discussion?
I think in both these cases, we're faced with vacancies. We have a committee it's a very active committee. It's been meeting at least twice a month. And I think the need for us to fill those vacancies was necessary. And I also think we're very fortunate to have two very competent people willing to step up and spend that kind of time on behalf of the town.
Absolutely, quality individuals.
And I sat on a couple of the meetings because I was here early, and they've been doing a really good job discussing things. Yep. And working on it.
Roll call?
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Browflight?
Yes.
Gerard Renninger?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 0990.
Whereas Resolution 0959 was accepted regarding the resignation of Robert Chase as Town of Plattsburgh Planning Board member effective January 12, 2009, and whereas a vacancy now exists on the planning board, whereas Thomas Lattenville, as an alternate board member, is willing to serve as a planning board member to fill the unexpired term of Robert Chase, therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby appoint Tom Lattenville, a resident of the town of Plattsburgh, to the planning board for a term to expire 12/31/2012, And it be further resolved that Mr. Lattenville be given the oath of office within 30 days, and that the original copy of said oath shall be filed with the town clerk.
A motion?
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Brockway, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes. Resolution 0991.
Whereas Fred Levine has recently been contacted by the Clinton County Emergency Preparedness Office in regard to the request of removing roads as private right-of-ways for 911 in the town of Plattsburgh as follows: Pine Cone Lane, Pine Haven Road, Pine Hollow Road, Hillcrest Drive. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby authorize the request of Fred Levine in the Clinton County Emergency Preparedness Office relative to the removing of the above identified private road names from all future town records, maps, and road lists in the town of Plattsburgh.
A motion?
So moved.
Gerard Renadette, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Brockway, any discussion?
Just for the record, I want to make sure, Amy, that I have it down right. It was Pine Hollow Drive, not Pine Hollow Road, correct?
Oh, yes, it is.
I know sometimes it's easy to misread it a little bit. I want to make sure, just for the record, that is it, because we do have a Pine Hollow Road. I'd hate to see that one.
Take it off.
Deleted.
The Tom-Tom.
That's right.
Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway. Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes. Resolution 0992.
Whereas the supervisor has received a letter dated February 23, 2009 from Fred Levine, Superintendent of Highways, requesting permission to temporarily post the following town roads effective March 31, 2009. Are Merrill Road, Bell Road, Bradford Road, Brown Road, Champlain Park, both entrances, Brown Road, Church Road, Cliff Haven Community, all entrances, Cross Road, Kennedy Road, Robinson Road, Stafford Road, Durand Road, South Junction Road, Trudeau Road, Thunderbird Heights, and Woodcliff Drive. Therefore, be it resolved that certain vehicles as described in the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, Section 1660, be excluded from the town highways and/or sections thereof listed in the aforementioned letter upon the erection of signs posting the respective highways or sections thereof, and notice pursuant to said Section 1660 being published in the Press Republican. And it is further resolved that the town board does hereby authorize and direct the town clerk to cause notice to be published in the Press Republican in accordance with town law.
The motion?
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second. Ms. Brockway. Any discussion?
This is the yearly closure of the roads for heavy trucks for the spring, right?
Heating problems and so on and so forth. Right. Frost comes out of the ground, hopefully, quickly, not too quickly. Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes. 0993.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has been engaged in the process of purchasing new software from Harris Computer Systems to meet billing and management needs of various departments. And whereas department heads have been working with Christian Ballot, software consultant for the town, and Harris staff trainers to customize software programs to meet the town's needs now and in the future. And whereas change order number 3 in the amount of $1,200 be accepted as indicated by the attached copies, and it be further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign change order number 3, and a certified copy of this resolution is to be given to the budget office.
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Brockway. Any discussion?
And I believe this is the change that we talked about at our February 9th work session that we still needed to check on, correct? There was some question as to a third change order.
Right, there were 4 altogether. I believe we passed 1, 2, and 4. This one, after some discussion with the department heads, was told to hold, and we got a little clarity as to what this was dealing with. The short version of the story is $1,200 was included for software that would be used by the assessor who has no desire to use it. So we're pulling that $1,200 out, and it will be reallocated to an iHelper, which will be used relative to licenses and maintenance services and so on with the water department. Help them manage their accounts. There are over 10,000 accounts there now, so you really need to be technologically refined. Pencil and papers, you're not going to make it anymore. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Renadette.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes.
The only thing you need to do is just drop the S on those change order.
I don't know where you're at.
Well, it said
Oh, change orders, number
change
3.
orders on resolved and
Yep.
resolved.
Okay. Resolution 94.
Whereas Resolution 06257 was passed for the New York State Canal Corporation project titled titled Champlain Lakeshore Park, and whereas the state and local sponsor wish to amend said agreement, the purpose of which is to extend the contract term at no cost, and all other provisions of said agreement shall remain in full force and effect. Therefore be it resolved that the supervisor sign said agreement and forward paperwork to Canal Corporation of Albany, New York, and it be further resolved to forward a copy to LaBerge Group and the Town of Plattsburgh Recreation Department.
A motion.
So moved.
Ms. Brockway, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion?
Yeah, this extends it for 1 year, right, till June 2010?
June 30, 2010, yes.
And so we have 1 year to get this part going?
Well, we've extended it before, so I don't know how many extensions we'll get. It's not good practice.
But we had to get the whole thing revised, though, right?
What do you mean by the whole thing?
Well, this particular project, we had to get it reapproved, didn't we?
The original vision of the bike trail that was granted a few years back isn't going to happen. And this was tied to that. There's some works in progress to get those earlier grants revised to a project that would terminate at the town's property at those dolphins off the Lake Shore Road, the piers that are there. Those haven't come through yet. But, as we talked many times, even when that does, you still need a significant amount of town money to match that. These are all matching grants. So we're sort of hoping for better times as we limp our way forward and keep these things alive, which is really what we're doing. Any other questions? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Roniger.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, resolution 95.
Whereas the Housing Trust Fund Corporation administers the New York State Home Program and uses federal funds to expand the supply of decent, safe, and affordable housing within the state. Whereas the Home Program funds a variety of activities through partnerships with counties, towns, cities, villages, private developers, and community-based nonprofit housing organizations. The program provides funds to acquire, rehabilitate, conserve energy, or construct housing, or to provide assistance to low-income home buyers and renters. Funds must be distributed in accordance with the needs and priorities identified in the state's consolidated plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor be and is hereby authorized to execute an application on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh with the DHCR. And it be further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and designated as a representative to act as such in connection with the application representing his governing body in support of the proposed program, and provide additional information as may be required, including all understandings contained in this application. And it be further resolved that the supervisor hereby authorized and directed to execute any contract and/or agreement in connection with the DHCR application, and his designee is further authorized to request and expend funds from the DHCR pursuant to said contract and/or agreement. And it be further resolved that the supervisor enter into a contract with LaBerge Group for a fee not to exceed $5,400 to prepare the grant application as indicated in the authorization to proceed document attached to this resolution.
Have a motion. Ms. Brockway, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion?
We're looking at a regular fee here for this. Didn't they do this particular one before? The LaBerge?
They wrote the one that we're in process of right now. This is in consideration of all of that. And still, I believe, less than the first one that was offered.
But this is for another.
This is a new
500,000.
grant.
This is for
This is a
another
whole new
500,000.
Yeah.
I guess I missed that question. I thought you knew that. We talked about that at the work session. It was decided that even though the existing one is not closed out, it's going to be successful at surfacing a need that the current one can't fulfill, and we didn't want to miss opportunity for next year, so that we would go forward.
Now,
We had about 25 people, I think it was, at that, the public hearing, and everybody had concerns, and according to what I was hearing from it, was very close to qualifying if they didn't actually qualify. So this gives us an opportunity to move forward, looking at next year, which I think is a great idea. Let's not wait and see if there's any more need. Let's go after the need that we're sure we have.
Mr. Corral mailed 280 letters, actually I think 288, 280 plus, directly to homeowners that we feel may be qualified, and they continue to come in. People who couldn't make the meeting, some people maybe who just, were a little shy about coming in. People today bringing applications, picking applications up. There are a number of homeowners that we think will qualify.
Considerable need.
So hopefully we're on a roll and we'll be able to keep that funding happening.
is Mr. Correll administering the project?
No.
He handles a local piece of that that's funded by the grant to help receive applications, be a local contact. Otherwise, and the way, this might have been done in the past, is there's no local contact. If they're in town next month, we'll try and let everybody know. So we have a local number, a local contact. He can review, he can help applicants complete the application, do interpretation of the guidelines for them. We'll work with the citizen committee and so on. He is not qualified to administer the grant any more than operating in that role at the local level. But it's a huge role.
Yeah. There's a considerable need for help. Home improvement here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is, and the town will be stronger because of
Yeah.
it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion?
And we should mention that the particular one that we have now is for homeowners, I believe, ones that have their own home and not for trailers and renting.
Owner occupied.
Owner occupied, and that there are other programs such as JCO that are available to people who need it, who do have those type of.
Well, there are a lot of other programs, and there have been some individuals who didn't qualify. Maybe they, whatever the conditions were, and where we can, we also try to redirect them to other agencies.
Now, I didn't realize this was going to go this long, but another question popped in my head while you were talking, Tom. I know one of the questions that came out of the public hearing that we had was there were some people who weren't eligible because of the income guidelines, but really could use some help. As far as there was one lady who asked about putting a bathroom in for her mother who was staying with her so that she wouldn't have to go into a nursing facility. And, the bathroom's upstairs, and we could really use one downstairs, and that didn't qualify. Hopefully some of that information will get disseminated out, and maybe this grant will have provisions in it or something like that would qualify, because
More
that really,
flexibility.
Yeah.
it really is a need. And hopefully there'll be some other money that'll come back to us, because there was talk that some of the money, if people sold the house, that grant money, if it was within, I forget how many years, the money would come back and the town could re-administer that grant money back out. So we might have some benefit in that way to help people out, but it's town's intention to help out everybody as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, and I think underscoring what you're saying, Gerard, in the second whereas, it indicates home buyers and renters who do not qualify with this round of grant funding we were able to secure. But we're trying to write this resolution with a broad enough stroke that it will enable us to secure whatever funding we can to help, as you say, as many people as we can. We don't really know what the conditions and criteria will be until we get down to the actual funding. So this, and I know Tom had a question earlier today about home buyers. We don't know, but we're going to put it in here in the event it is available. We'll try and help out there too. But the important thing, I guess, and if anyone's certainly not aware, we do have currently a $300,000 grant to help with owner-occupied, income-eligible families to meet some of their safety and energy needs, construction needs for their homes. If there are any questions, they should just contact the town hall, and we'll refer them to Mr. Correll, who can guide them through the next steps.
Have we got any idea where we are with awarding contracts under that grant?
We're not there yet. Right now, we're identifying individuals and getting applications in so we can review those. We're in the process of organizing the Citizens Committee that will be meeting on a monthly basis also to help with the review and make sure there's a broad-based overview of what's going on.
I was approached by an individual who's involved in establishing a community-based youth group that will primarily involve college-age students who are interested in going into people's homes and helping with projects of this kind of nature. You're not talking about big ticket items or whatever, but you're talking about, probably buying, a modest amount of materials, et cetera. And then they would, over a weekend, they might go in and insulate somebody's attic or work underneath a building and insulate that area.
Do they have any funding with them?
No, they have no, at this point, they don't have any funding.
One of the things you make me think about is as we go through this selection process, even the number of qualified people just simply aren't going to be helped, but there will be those that, don't qualify for whatever reason. The family that needs a bathroom on the first floor to enable them to keep a senior parent with them, but they may not be income eligible. That may be a group that would be able to go in, and many times, I'll buy the materials, you can get somebody to help me to do the work.
Yeah.
So we may surface a group that we could tap into that human resource.
Or maybe we'd have some of our local hardware stores and home improvement stores that would want to come out. Sometimes as little as caulking windows and doors is enough to really make a big difference. And if we already have the workforce, and if we have one of the local stores from within the community that's willing to make a donation of caulking materials and spray foam insulation, that can make all the difference in the world.
That's maybe something, Mark, you can get a little more information when you take it into a work session. I right away think of issues, you're the insurance man, liability, bonding, and so on and so forth. But as a public service, we might be a conduit to identify ways to put them to work.
It could be something as simple as, I think what Jerry was just alluding to, they could go out and put the plastic over windows for people to give them a better insulation during the winter.
Absolutely.
It's not, you haven't got to be an engineer to do that, and you have people, who are willing and looking for an opportunity to help, and, a modest amount of money out of a grant could maybe do a lot of good.
You're reading my mind.
Okay.
Good, let's follow up with that at a work session. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renner?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Bernard Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 96.
Whereas bids for wastewater metering were publicly opened and read aloud on Thursday, January 5th, 2009 at 10 a.m. prevailing time at the Town Hall, 151 Baker Road. And whereas consulting engineers, the Verge Engineering and Consulting Group, have submitted a report relative to their analysis of bids. Whereas low bid price of $372,551 exceeds the project budget by over $100,000. Now therefore be it resolved that all bids received for wastewater metering are hereby rejected, and it is further resolved that bid documents be revised to reduce the cost of construction.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Renadette, any discussion?
Yeah, this is far exceeds what we originally started out to, but as I understand it, our wastewater department will be reworking some of the things and trying to consolidate and stuff and see if we can go out for another bid.
I guess yes on all accounts. $100,000 over, I would say far exceeds. They're going to have to look at the specs. I'm not sure why the bids were so high. We're certainly not going to authorize anything that far. And they will be, the bidders will be notified and given an opportunity when this is redesigned to bid again.
We only received 2 bids.
Looks like that.
Yeah. And that may be part of the problem.
Have we looked at whether or not we could do this with town forces?
I have to say the answer is no, which is why we got to this point.
Well, it
I
depends
can follow
upon,
up with the question.
this was the amount that we had gotten with the shared services grant, construction of the city, wasn't it?
The meters, right, but I mean, we need to purchase the meters. Installation
Work.
is a big issue. You know, and when you get a fairly sizable project, you take your day-to-day maintenance and repair crews off. It's tough, but it is in the grant, so. And I don't know how that would work as far as paying ourselves to do it. But we'll get back to you with more information. Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Rendick.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Leonard Bassett.
Yes, 0997.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh has previously awarded the Champlain Park Pump Station Contract Number 1 General to Gluck Brothers in the amount of $1,513,900.50. And whereas the plans and specifications did not call for the replacement of a wooded garage door at the existing treatment plant based upon the condition of the door, it is prudent to replace it with an insulated steel door. And whereas it is recommended that erosion control fabric be placed in the county soil to preclude any damages to the county drainage system. And whereas LaBerge Engineering Consulting Group has reviewed the proposed changes and recommends their approval. Whereas the additional cost resulting from this change is $4,610.46, the cost of which can be paid for from project financing. Now therefore be it resolved that the recommendation of the town's engineers be hereby accepted, approved, and adopted. And it be further resolved that the town board authorize the supervisor to execute change order number C1-1, allowing an increase in the contract amount of $4,610.46, resulting in a total contract price of $1,518,510.96.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second. Ms. Brockway, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Brockway.
Yes.
Gerard Rendick.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Leonard Bassett.
Yes, resolution 98.
Whereas the town passed a local law in August of 1970 entitled "A Local Law Relating to a Code of Ethics and a Board of Ethics for the Town of Plattsburgh." Said local law was Local Law Number 1 of 1970. And whereas a considerable period of time has passed since the local law was passed, and it is the desire of the town to enact a new code of ethics and to establish a new board of ethics that will be more responsive to the numerous changes that have occurred over the past 38 years. Whereas Supervisor Bassett has introduced proposed local law number 2 of the year 2009, entitled "A Local Law Repealing Town of Plattsburgh Local Law Number 1 of the year 1970, a local law relating to a code of ethics and a board of ethics for the town of Plattsburgh, and enacting a local law establishing a code of ethics and a board of ethics for the town of Plattsburgh." Whereas the town board of the town of Plattsburgh has considered the proposed local law number 2 of 2009, and whereas said local law number 2 of 2009 was duly introduced at the meeting of the town board. Whereas the public hearing on said proposed local law was duly held prior to this meeting of the town board. And whereas the town board has considered all comments from all persons regarding this proposed local law, both submitted in writing and presented orally at the public hearing, and comments at the meeting. Now therefore is resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh, after review of said proposed local law number 2 of 2009, review and consideration of comments made at the public hearing, and further after consideration, adopts local law number 2 for the year 2009. And it be further resolved that the attorney for the town, acting for the town clerk, be and he is hereby directed to cause said local law of the year 2009 to be duly filed with the Department of State of the State of New York, as required by Section 27, Subdivision 1 of the Municipal Home Rule Law. This resolution shall be effective immediately.
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second that. Mr. Wood?
Die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Just like the record showed, I guess, Amy, you didn't get the copy of the new one. I think the only difference I could see in it was the date of the public hearing was mentioned in this new resolution.
Oh, Amy, I was reading ahead looking for something else, yes.
And I didn't hear the date, but the date is in the new resolution, so.
What was the date from?
February 23rd, 2009. I think that was the only change that was made. That's the only thing I could discern with me reading it.
Thank you. Make sure to get back.
And now, with that being said, I'd like to just say that I'm very happy that this is finally moving forward. It's been a pet project of mine. Thank everybody for their patience as I criticized and submitted and requested. Jim, you were very, very helpful. I thank you very much for putting up with me.
Well, you were, a lot of great input. I certainly appreciate it.
Well, this was something, this is a local law that was basically, I think, from what the research that I could find, basically all the towns in New York State were encouraged to do this back in 1970.
Right.
And now the Association of Towns has since, and in fact for the last 3 years, been kind of preaching to the choir and telling people you need to update your Board of Ethics and your local laws on the Code of Ethics. And this definitely reflects everything that they've been asking for. And again, I thank everybody for their help and their patience on this.
Well, as you said, you did keep it alive, and it was a process. And even as we discussed this in work session, we could continue to spend 6 more months, I think, going through all the what ifs and all the interpretations. But as we've done that, I firmly believe we have a document that will work, and the interpretation and the opinions rendered will be for that board to do, not this board.
Right.
And I think we're there.
Bernie, I have a point I'd like to enter if I could. I'd like to request that my name be removed as the sponsor of the resolution and Gerard's name entered in my stead.
I thank you, Marty. That's not necessary.
I know it's not necessary. I think it's appropriate.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Where am I going to find that, Marty?
Yeah, that's what I was-
Under motion, where it says Marty Mannix made the motion, you're going to
Oh.
put Gerard Renadette made the motion. At the bottom.
Oh, okay. Actually, what I was looking for was your name, because as you were speaking, I was thinking through the same thing with the third whereas. It truly would have been appropriate for Gerard to have introduced this, because
Yes.
without his CPR, it probably would have
Absolutely.
not continued through. So that may be an equally important amendment to make.
Well, again,
Well,
I'd like to go on record as saying that I appreciate the recognition. I'm not looking for the recognition. I think this is important enough that simply having it move forward, regardless of anything, and I'm glad that I'm here to be able to take the vote. I missed the public hearing, but I assure you, I did touch base and find out all the comments and look forward. So,
Okay.
I'd like to point out, or ask, we have, says all elected municipal officials on page 4, section 9, annually receive training, so look forward to that, and get started with our training. And I also would like to make one comment into the record. I'd like that to be in the record that in nowhere in our law, the resolution does it suggest, it says that the committee itself will promulgate its own rules and set itself up and everything, and its own regulations, but it doesn't say anywhere about how often they should meet. I strongly feel that a Board of Ethics has to meet at least once a year, if nothing other than to go over the actual law itself and possibly some kind of training, as well as to welcome any new member in and reorganize. I really think that there should be at least one meeting a year. I realize that some instances this will not be needed many times in a year. Other years might be needed a number of times, but I think at least once a year is a minimum.
I think they're authorized within the law to put that kind of a provision in their in their own.
I just want it in the record that I suggest they do.
Yeah, it's an editorial comment, that's fine.
And, you know, this does bring up, and you mentioned editorials, Jim, I don't mean to editorialize, but I think each of us here have been to a ethics workshop while attending the Association of Towns state conference, hearing from leading authorities and attorneys. I think it was last year, the year before, I sat with our town attorney, Mr. Coffey, and our codes and zoning attorney, Mr. Madonna, as the three of us heard things and tried to interpret it and make sure we got the information that we brought back and applied to this process. So again, and I have similar thoughts about our local development corporation. As these boards and committees are formed, there is a training. That doesn't mean they're all going to New York City, but that part of our budget will be impacted. It's very, very important. So, yes, duly noted, Tom, and if there are no other questions, we'll have a roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Sheila Brockway,
Yes.
George Benedict.
Yes.
Martin Maggs.
Yes.
John Bassett.
Yes. Job well done. Of course, it's not done yet. Now we have to work on the board and get this operation. Resolution in a moment after we change the date. Resolution 99.
Whereas the town board, after due consideration, has determined that it is desirable and in the public interest to submit an application to the Empire State Development Corporation for a Round 3 Restore New York Communities Initiative Municipal Grant Program. And whereas the proposed project to continue the expansion of business and employment opportunities is in accordance with the town and regional planning. Whereas the proposed financing is appropriate for the continued development of the North Country Plaza redevelopment plan. And whereas the proposed project facilitates effective and efficient use of an existing and future public resources, so as to provide both economic development and preservation of community resources in the Phase 2 project. And whereas where applicable, the project develops and enhances infrastructure and/or facilities in a manner that will attract, create, and sustain employment opportunities. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to submit an application for financial assistance under Round 3 Restore New York Communities Initiative Municipal Grant Program. It be further resolved that the town's consulting engineer, the Blue Birch Group of Albany, proceed with the grant submittals as required, and that the grant writing costs are to be paid by the project developer.
Have a motion?
So moved.
I think Mr. Wood.
Yes.
And would you like to second that?
Yes,
George?
sir.
Under point of discussion, let me just make a couple quick comments. You didn't see this prior to this evening. We did not have this in work session. I've had a authorization to proceed for a long time. It's the original one isn't even here. We haven't been able to nail down what I would call a specific project applicable to Restore. There was some time before we knew Restore funding would have another round, and of course the rules are always subject to change, so there was a lot of information gathering. The authorization to proceed, the first indication, first submittal to ESD has to be done March 9th, has to be submitted by March 9th, which is next Monday. I met last week with our consulting engineer. The only viable project that looked like we might be able to develop would have been for something out at the Cumberland Corners. We have a company that was willing to step to the plate, make the commitment to come in. I don't want to disclose their name at the moment, but they said, I'm in. I'm doing one in, I believe it's Oregon, and I should be ready for 2010 for Plattsburgh. And I said, by the time the money gets to us, it'll probably be 2010, so that won't be a problem. But as we work through the details of what would be funded and the square footage of this project, it didn't seem sufficient to use this opportunity. What we did discover is other another project that would bring more financial support. And as you know, out there, we've talked a long time about trying to have a community health and wellness focus, doing a broader community project that's more than just a lot of retail. With the theater, with a bowling alley, we're kind of beginning to inch our way. Looking at all and as I think you all know from all the other information, the concern about environment and 20% of stimulus money going toward environmentally conscious, green conscious projects, energy conscious projects, and so on. Putting that all together, long story short, we still, at the end of the day and the end of the week last week, didn't have anything that I felt comfortable bringing to you, asking for your support to spend the town's money. It wasn't able to be pulled together that fast, and at that point, the developer said, "Can I pay for it?" I didn't have too many problems with that. So we have had a really unique public-private relationship, which is something more and more the state is wanting us to do to stimulate economic growth and development. So we aren't the leader in that across the country. This one is a little different, where we fronted the money. In this case, the money will be fronted by the developer, working through the town, hopefully to secure enough funding to bring into that project. And it isn't developed yet, but you deserve more than just a vague explanation. Will help us to achieve the indoor soccer, indoor tennis recreational goals. That continues to build the north end, as if you recall the total build out as it goes south with more of the retail. And again, we're hoping to see some services out there, and we've all heard, you know, all the, can you please get an Olive Garden, can you get a Christmas tree shop, and so on. But that part of the community really needs banking services. They need a hardware store they can go to, pharmacy that they can, you know, have their needs met. And I'm confident that will happen.
I didn't think there was a corner left that didn't have a pharmacy.
Yeah, there's a big corner
There's
up
no
there.
pharmacy out there.
That used to have all of that,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
just
I
did
know
not
they did.
keep up.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what you would be supporting, and at this point, this resolution simply authorizes us to be a partner and a participant, but not fiscally. We've got until Monday, and with this, the responsibility to produce the submittal will be with the developer and the engineer. But it still builds tax base, creates jobs.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win
It's a win-win.
situation. It's a win-win situation.
I was very pleased that, you know, things turned out the way they did.
Good.
Any questions on that? We, as you can see, we weren't going to do it, but this was do or die, and they stepped up to the plate Friday, and I said, okay, I'll write it.
Go.
So about an hour, 2 hours ago, we were at 3 hours. Okay, with that said, then a roll call, please.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Sheila Brockway?
Yes.
Gerard Renner?
Yes.
Martin Mannix?
Yes.
Linda Bassett?
Yes. Resolution 100.
Whereas to ensure compliance with Public Officers Law, Section 10, relative to board appointments as set forth in Exhibit A, and whereas the town board desires to reappoint said persons, and to direct the town clerk's office to inform the appointed individuals of the requirements of said Section 10 of Public Officers Law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby reappoint the following persons to the respective offices as noted, or the same term as previously appointed in the attached Exhibit A. And it be further resolved that such person be given the office of oath within 30 days, and that original copy of this oath be filed with the town clerk.
A motion?
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Ms. Brockway. Again, I know you didn't see this one prior to this evening, but I think you understand the importance of doing this, and this puts the planning and codes boards in a position for their next meeting to take care of the filing of the oath. Any other discussion?
Is there any other place we need to look
Well-
on that?
Oh, excuse me, but I want to make sure that the Exhibit A is amended to include C.J. Madonna's name with a term to expire 12/31/09. And I hope there are no other omissions. If there are, we'll deal with them. That was the
What
whole
about our
purpose
town
of doing
attorney?
the group.
What about our town attorney?
You got a 2-year, I
I
believe?
have a 2-year, but I was sworn in.
You were sworn in and
Absolutely.
signed, okay.
Yep.
How about our dog control officer?
No, I agree about that.
Was sworn in? Okay. Deputy clerks all sworn in?
It's the clerk that's sworn in, that's the question.
Who swears the clerk?
Yeah.
The concern I had is with the other boards, and
Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't miss anything.
We're gonna have the same issue with the members of our ethics board.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to be sworn in, correct?
Sure. Yep.
So it's just gonna be
You
done?
can do that when they have their first meeting.
It's gonna be done the next
Yeah,
time they meet? Is
absolutely.
that
Yes,
first order of business?
before they actually convene. Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Sheila Brackway,
Yes.
George Remsen.
Yes.
Martin Mannix,
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes. Resolution 101, again, a late entry in this race.
In this field.
Let's get it on the table, and then I'll be more than pleased to answer any questions.
Whereas the Town of Plattsburgh Town Board finds and determines that it is in order to protect and safeguard the town, its residents, and their property with respect to certain agreements, negotiations, and contracts that the town board engages in may require specific skills and knowledge. And whereas the town has been negotiating for several months with Saranac Power Partners concerning the settlement of an Article 7 proceeding and an amended pilot agreement between the town, the IDA, and other taxing entities. And whereas in order to assure the town's best interest is represented, it is essential that the town have available professional expertise to assist in the review of the proceedings and make recommendations to the town board. And whereas the town board realizes that from time to time, the town board and staff are called upon to review and evaluate matters outside the range of their training and/or expertise, and that these situations may require the town to seek out skills not possessed by the town officials, but which are not frequently enough to justify the hiring of a new specialized staff. And whereas pursuant to the authority of subparagraph A12 and D3 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 10(1), the Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 22 of the Town Board is granted the power to manage its governmental affairs and operations, and how to discharge your responsibilities to satisfy local needs as those were perceived. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board approve and authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Larry Zimmerman and Mark Lansing of Hiscock Barclay of Albany, New York, to advise and make recommendation to the supervisor, town board, and zoning attorney as to a need to represent the town's interests during the settlement of issues concerning the town of Plattsburgh and Saranac Power Partners.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Rendat, second.
Second.
Ms. Brockway. Any discussion? Let me offer one thing right off the get-go. If I were watching this, I would be concerned that, we have an attorney sitting with us this evening, we have a codes and zoning attorney, and, why do we need to go out and get more attorneys? And I think the resolution does a pretty good job to try and clarify that, but we have, in this case, a business that currently is assessed at $200 million. It's a very, very specific operation. This is not a typical retail store. This is a business that produces energy using natural gas. And it's very, very complex relative to terms and conditions of operation, distribution systems, moving and having second, third-party agreements for the purchase and sale of this energy. And as we often say, when everything goes well, there are no problems. This community, and especially the residents in the areas where their special district taxes would be affected, would be absolutely devastated without this assessment, which in Article 7 means that the company is saying, we want our assessment reduced. We don't feel our business is worth $200 million anymore. Making that determination is not like changing an assessment if I build a garage on my home by any means. It doesn't have the impact something like this will on the fire rates, ambulance rates, lighting, and so on. It would be absolutely devastating. So we're trying to work, one, to make sure this business continues to function in the community. We want them to. They serve a very valuable purpose, and we certainly will work with them as their business is going through some challenges. But we also have to make sure that whatever adjustments are made, the interest of the town of Plattsburgh and the constituents and the homeowners are protected. And to best do that, I'm asking that we retain some experts that have worked in this field before to work with Mr. Madonna, not in place of him, to work with him. So he has reference and resources and has a place to bring an agreement and say, what do you think? What have I missed? They've done this before. This isn't their first. And if we don't take these kinds of make these kinds of opportunities, it's not this board or this supervisor that will have to live with it. It will be future boards if we make a mistake, and then it's too late. So it does get costly, but as I've said many times about training and education, the cost of ignorance is far more expensive. We've got to do it right the one time, the first time. So I think this is very, very important, but it's also very important. Two things. One, that everyone understands why, but also that everyone is aware as they hear things, and more may be heard in the near future, that we're trying to protect homeowners.
I think it's most appropriate that we do it. I think it's highly analogous to the situation the board found itself in a number of years ago when it was dealing with what amounted to international companies in the telecommunications field. You have to have access to people who work with this stuff every day. These firms have got stables of lawyers who are, and their job is to get every single advantage they can for their client. And if we don't have expertise, we're going to lose out on those arrangements.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think one of the statements that bears that out very well, some of the clientele where I work at my primary job, is you don't bring a knife to a gunfight, Many people have said that. Some of them are where they're at because of that belief, but it's true, Marty, you don't go there armed with anything less than what your opponent has. And that's the town deserves to do the same thing for its residents, and I think that this does this, and Bernie said it perfectly well. We're not replacing CJ on this. CJ has been very, very good in representing us on this. He's opened our eyes to a lot of different things that were coming down, but he needs some help, and he needs to have the playing field leveled. So that's basically what this resolution will do.
I know there was a meeting that I attended at the IDA, and it was eminently clear in that meeting that the only person who had done the homework and read the documents and understood those agreements was CJ.
Yep.
And that other people were standing there perfectly willing to say, go ahead, sign that, that's fine, okay? And he was the guy, he began bringing up the questions, and nobody had answers for his questions.
He does a great job.
He does. The parties, and Mr. Madonna and Dory Kurtz and I recently met to reduce a wheelbarrow full of paper and emails and so on and so forth down to the basic 5 or 6 goals that we hope to achieve that we've all agreed on. And again, we all agree. But then when you get back the interpretations of all this, you really do need to have some very skilled people reviewing that, because at the end, when we sign something, that's what you're going to live with. And even though we might have talked about something else, it doesn't matter.
That's exactly it. You could have 9 people in a room, and all 9 people could agree as to what it is they want to have happen. But it's all going to come down to the language of the document you sign. And if somebody wants to slide something in, you got to catch it.
It's So, hopefully we're going to get there, and we're going to get there very quickly because there's a need to do so, but we can best get there with some help. So I appreciate everybody's consideration.
It is something that we have to do, and it's, I think it's very important. And, but it is going to be costly, and I'd like to see us monitor the expenses as we can fairly regularly for the board to know what we're expending in this particular area. We know what we have with our contracted people, but we don't.
Oh, yeah,
They'll
absolutely.
send you monthly bills, so. Don't need to worry.
Yeah, it's a tough one because you won't get a bill the day that you don't ask them for their opinion, advice, and interpretation. And that could be the bad day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you just, you have to do what you have to do, I guess. If there are no other questions, and as you can see, you got some you didn't anticipate tonight, but this also really can't wait another week because we're there. So we have to deal with it. A roll call, please.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Browthway.
Yes.
George Renner.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bass.
Yes. That's the end of the agenda and the surprises both, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless someone has something else this evening, we'll let you get off the roads because it is snowy. Hopefully that's one of the last ones. With that said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Brockway, any second?
Second.
Mr. Renadette. Any discussion? A roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Sheila Browthway.
Yes.
George Renner.
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Bernard Bassett.
Yes, we'll stand adjourned at 8:47. Drive carefully.
Do you want the number to those resolutions?
Let me shut out.
Yeah.
You have that, George?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I'm sorry,
hope-
I didn't